After the paddy ripens, sleep is a distant memory. Rangers spend the night rushing to rescue villages.
এই ধূপটো জ্বলালে মানে আমি বেটে হাতী খেদিবলৈ যাম আৰু আমি হাতীক ভগৱান বুলি পূজা কৰোঁ সেইকাৰণে যাতে আমাৰ জংঘলত একো অপকাৰ নহয় সেইটো কাৰণে আমি ধূপটো জ্বলাই প্ৰণাম কৰি জংঘলত সোমাই যাওঁ
Lights keep the elephants at bay, as do loud noises. Large though they are, the elephants are quick and surprisingly quiet. They melt into the inky blackness of the night. The elephants have been outfoxed. Tonight, tomorrow, they will return. For where else can they go? It was one such raid that led to Farhan's injuries. Bedridden, he ponders his fate.
तकलीफ तो होगा ही लड़का बच्चा भी छोटा है पहले ऐसे नहीं करता था हाथी पहले आदमी लोग को डरता था अभी आदमी को नहीं डरता है हाथी
Houses and fields have come up on the elephant's traditional migratory routes. And as the forests decrease, elephant attacks increase.
This used to be a very important migratory path, especially for the wild elephants. What you see here today is what remains of a beautiful forest that used to exist even in the late 70s.
Robbed of their homes and their food, the elephants venture out with catastrophic consequences.
If an elephant dies, people will go and put flowers. It's Ganesh. Yeah? Even if the elephant has a damaged crop, even then they will go and put flowers. In this particular instance in 2003, when elephants were killed, people had gone and with chalk written on the dead bodies of the elephant, Dhan Chor, Bin Laden, Osama. So they were calling the elephant Osama. Now the transformation of an elephant from Ganesha to Osama is what worries me.
कुछ मानेगा बोल करके करता हूँ उसको पूजा तो वो भी नहीं मानता कैसा चीज़ है मानता ही नहीं
Parbati Barua is all too aware of the increasing anger towards elephants. India's only female Mahood, she's seen firsthand the elephant's transformation from forest gods to crop-raiding thieves. She and her elephant, Lakhi Mol, are living proof of a dying relationship. One that reminds us we need our elephant lords. With Lakhi, she drives wild elephants from the fields, yet their sympathies lie squarely with the elephants.
हाथी का तो बॉर्डर मालूम नहीं है ना ये पार्क का बॉर्डर है ये बागान का बॉर्डर है ये वो चिंता नहीं करता है हम अगर बांग्लादेशी घुस जाते हैं हम भी इंटरनेशनल बॉर्डर को मानते नहीं है तो वो तो एनिमल है
Kunkis, or trained elephants like Lakhi, play an important role in driving away wild elephants from fields. In the village of Brahmojan, WWF and the Forest Department have stationed elephants to protect paddy fields from their wild brethren. It's time for Joymati and Babu to enjoy a relaxing bath. And almost the entire village and all its children gather round. Proof of the sway these gentle giants hold over even those to whom elephants are a daily and not very welcome sight.
While dealing with the wild elephants, we have also realized that they evolve and they adapt to the human nature or the human barriers that we put up. Be it the case of the electric fencing. The electric fencing at times have been pulled down by elephants to cross over to paddy fields or to get into human habitations.
তেওঁলোকে যেতিয়া ইমানটো হেৰিডাল থাকিব তাঁৰডাল এডাল থাকে এই গুৰিটোত গছক মাৰি মানে এইটো ভাঙি এনেকৈ পেলাই দি তাৰ পাছতে দি পাৰ হৈ গুচি আহে প্ৰায় হিন্দু ধৰ্মৰ মানুহবিলাকে মানে হাতীক ঈশ্বৰৰ প্ৰদত্ত বস্তু বুলি পেলাই ভাবে আৰু সেইটো দৰে তেওঁলোকে আহোঁতে হয়তো জানি যায়
If you have a wound, you can put a bandage, so you can put a fence, you can put a trench, you can move something. These are all immediate solutions because there's an animal in your backyard. What do? You have to do something. Yeah? But the long-term solution is you have to give it habitat. And when I say habitat, I mean cover, I mean food, I mean water, I mean security.
In the arid regions of Saurashtra in Gujarat, habitat for black buck and nilgai are well provided within the Velavadar National Park. And the animals have responded with a population boom, spreading into surrounding fields. For fences cannot contain black buck or nilgai who simply jump them. And when they leave, danger beckons, but not from man. Ramu's mother was killed by a pack of dogs. Anywhere else, this would have been a death sentence for the young black buck calf. But here in Mahua, Ramu was installed in the local temple. His playmates are Nandi, an older Nilgai calf, and the temple's priests, with plenty of visits from villagers who worship him and Nandi. Their devotion has ensured that black buck and nilgai roam the desert scapes of Gujarat, free from danger, becoming something of a pest.
અમારા ખેતરની અંદર લીલગાય આવે ભૂંડ આવે એનું નુકસાન બહુ થાય 100% હોય એની માલમાં 50% ન રવા દે
After dinner, these women's husbands head not to bed, but to the fields, guarding them against their gods. For every night, nilgai and blackbuck enter their fields and eat their crops. But despite the destruction they cause, the villagers refuse to kill them.
મારવા તો આ 20 ગામમાં કોઈ તૈયાર નહીં થાય જનાવરને લીલગાયનું આજ 2 વર્ષથી કીધું છે કે ગમે ત્યાં ભડાકા દઈ દો પણ કોઈ આ ભાલના એરિયામાં કોઈ લીલગાયને મારવા તૈયાર નથી
અરણ્ય પૂંજા કરીએ અમારા કોળમાં પૂંજાય
The villagers' devotion runs deep. Yet, even here, ceaseless destruction and lack of compensation is taking a toll.
સરકાર એનો કોઈ બંદોબસ્ત કરે કોઈ દિવાલ છે અથવા કોઈ 8 ફૂટની જાળી છે અને અંદર ઘાસ ચારો અંદર લાખ્યા કરે ને અંદર રહે તો ખેડૂતને કોઈ ફાયદા થાય
If in Gujarat people's faith is daily being tested, in Assam it seems to have disappeared. But it is in Maharashtra, near the Tadoba Andhari Tiger Reserve, that the most curious manifestations of faith occur.
लोगों के बीच में है कि अगर किसी जानवर को मार दिएगा तो बोलते हैं कि प्रसाद था, बाघ का प्रसाद था, बाघ ने उसको ले लिया।
Death at the hands of wild animals has always been a threat to the villagers of Tadoba. And so, they've developed a curious fatalism and deep knowledge of the animals they share their forests with.
फाली बोले तो वो भी बेकार प्राणी है, उसको यानी जानकारी नहीं है। वो अगर आदमी दिख गया तो भग गए तो भग जाती है, नहीं तो फिर एकदम आदमी के ऊपर दौड़ के आती है।
बिबट म्हणजे काय तो लाचारी माणूस आहे तो, बिबट म्हणजे असा हलकट आहे। पागाल थांब म्हणून तर तो डटावल्यावर ले दूर राही, पण हसवल नाही राहणार, ते काळकुळी एकदम अंगावरच येते।
वो जो वाइल्ड बोर है वो यानी वो ऐसा सीधा अगर दौड़ने लगे तो एकदम सीधा भाग जाते हैं, आड़ा टेढ़ा नहीं भागता।
वाघ खतरा है, परंतु वाघ असा आहे ईमानदार आहे।
Boasting dense jungle cover, undulating hills and large lakes, the Tadoba Andhari Tiger Reserve is a haven for wildlife. Well connected to the forests of Pench and Kana, it is one of the last contiguous patches of forests left in the country. Once, leopards were relocated here from Mumbai and Junnar. Today, Tadoba has become a new front line in the man-animal conflict engulfing India.
This habitat has been under constant pressure for number of reasons. Of course, the grazing pressure, there is pressure for firewood collections. This habitat destruction by the outside people, there is a lot of this conflict between man and animal.
The people around Tadoba have always entered the forest to meet their needs. But thanks to a drastic increase in their numbers, human interference in the jungle has risen to unprecedented levels. Disturbed, the animals strike back.
म्हणजे नाही आता कोणचे आपलं कास्तकारीचं काम करे.
A simple errand to find a missing cow can quickly go wrong.
आमची गाय जंगलात गेली, आली नाही म्हणून आलासाठी गेले पाहासाठी.
And all Manka Bai can do is wait, praying that her husband will return. And as villagers search for a husband, she sits, hoping that what they return to her are not his remains. Terrible as Manka Bai's losses, sometimes surviving a bear attack can be a curse. Vijay begins every morning with a heartbreaking task, helping his mauled father navigate his way around a house now unfamiliar. For 50 years, Buddhaji has lived in this house, brought up his sons, but 4 years ago, everything changed.
सकाळी तरी 7-8 वाजता गेलो, इस्तोज गेलो. आता झाड करून होता एक आडवा, तर त्या झाडाच्या मेरेले ते जुडकुड होता, त्याची दसून होती खरं. आता ते तिकून निघली तर तो माझ्यावर येऊन पडली. आता मी असं इकडं टोन करून होतो, ते इकडे येऊन जोंगली येते. जखम हे ती कंगरले हे ते अंडीले तोंडाले हे डोक्याले.
Sometimes death can be an easy way out, one that was denied to Buddhaji. If Mumbai and Junnar have their leopards, Gujarat her Nilgai and Blackbuck, and Assam has her elephants. Tadoba's burden are her tigers, leopards, boars, and bears. But for every human life lost, countless animals have been slaughtered. And countless more will be.
There was a mob of probably more than 1,000 villagers, and there were these 2 cubs. The villagers were out to lynch them, throwing stones on them. It took almost 3 to 4 hours just to control the mob. Literally had to lift one of those cubs and put it in the cage. The other cub was rather aggressive. She kept charging at people. That process, the people kept, hitting her. And then these 2 cubs were shifted to Nagpur. But the condition did not look very good. In spite of a very intensive efforts, 1 cub could not be saved.
And the other cub is doomed to a life in captivity, along with a companion whose mother too vanished.
This was one episode where the anger against the animal was so visible.
If people are angry with a tiger or an elephant, they have the ability to fall prey to the poaching gangs or trade gangs which roam around and tell them to notify them when the animal is nearby, and they'll go and poach it.
Once villagers view wildlife as a threat to their lives and livestock, poaching becomes rampant. Initially for revenge, but eventually for money. Routine patrolling by the Forest Department pays off. The poacher's trap is discovered before it can crush a tiger's paw.
Animal used to, it's totally immobilized, and he shouts or make halla gulla.
The department's work has just begun. Traps mean poaching gangs, and they are not easily discouraged. Over the next few days, vigilance will be increased. Forest officers will continuously check beach stations and villages to see if there are reports of strangers who will be encouraged to leave. While patrolling remains critical, equally important is sensitizing villagers.
तुम्ही समजा ढोरं घेऊन गेले आणि तिकडे बसले तर त्याला असं नाही वाटत की बाबा माणूस दिसला आणि अटॅक करू. त्याला असं वाटतंय की जनावर आहे कोणीतरी.
NGOs and forest departments teach villagers to protect themselves.
ते एकटे नका जाऊ आणि मुलांना नका पाठवू आणि थोडी आवाज करा, कारण समजा वाघ आहे तिकडे तर त्याला माहिती पडतं की कोणी येत आहे.
Efforts to mitigate this deadly conflict carry on. Yet, it can be like treating symptoms while the underlying disease festers. As long as humans living on the edges of forest